now we have our assembly item. We've built it up. And this is actually going to go through actually selling an assembly that we build. So we've got everything set up, but we don't have any built assemblies. Maybe we have parts in stock to build the assembly, but they're not actually part of an assembly right now. They're just sitting on the shelf to sell as individual items. But now I have a customer that has come in and they want to actually purchase an assembly. So what we're going to do, and this doesn't matter if I'm selling it over the internet, if I'm selling it, over the counter. The point is that I'm not going to build up all these assemblies until someone actually places an order. Now maybe I've got a whole bunch of them and I sell a bunch of them, so I'm going to have some pre-built. But at some point you're going to run into a situation where a customer wants that assembly and you have not built it up yet. And that's what this video is going to cover. So the first step is we're going to go to an invoice and we're going to actually sell an item. So I'm just going to choose a customer here because it really doesn't make any difference who it is. And we also need to kind of keep in mind that it doesn't matter what type of invoice that we're working with either. The system is going to deal with this the exact same way depending on no matter which type of invoice. So we're just going to go ahead and add our assembly. So we're going to say assembly to build. So this is our assembly. You can see we don't have any of these built at the moment. So I'm just going to tell it that he wants one. We're going to add and close. And you can see here that the system has special ordered the item. Now, if you remember from the earlier video, we created a vendor called Assembly Vendor, and we also set up a supplier for Assembly Vendor to order from. So obviously, we don't order this assembly from anybody because we build it up here in the business. So the system is going to kind of fake out this order, but we need this process to be able to keep up with who's waiting on what. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and pay the invoice. We're going to cash it out. So I'm just going to tell it that we're going to pay the customer paid cash, and we'll cash out the invoice. Now, the question is what just happened? Because this really isn't a real part, and maybe I need other parts in order to build this thing up. I need to place some orders to be able to build this assembly up in the first place. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to take a look at the special order list for the current customer. And we might need to narrow it down here to the current invoice. So this is our assembly to build. And if you notice here, if I open up the detail, it shows that it's on Assembly Vendor's purchase order. And we also see that we have a purchase order here that we can take a look at. So we're just going to go ahead and look at the purchase order. We have our assembly to build. So this is our assembly. We've got a customer. So notice this thing looks exactly like every other purchase order that's in the system. Lizzy knows there's a customer waiting on this assembly. What she doesn't know is we can't order this thing. We have to build it. So I cannot, if I try to edit this purchase order and bounce over here to place the order, you'll notice there is no order button here. I cannot order this purchase order. Lizzy is managing this entire purchase order on her own, and you'll never place the order. What you will do is you'll build up this assembly at some point. So at some point during the day, I come over to inventory and I check to see if I need to build any assemblies. So to do that, I'm going to go to Assemblies, Needs Built. And this is going to give me a list of everything that I need to be building. So at this point, I can see that I have one required assembly for this assembly. I'm just going to tell it that I'm going to go ahead and build it. It brings up the list and it gives me a list of items that I have in stock for that particular assembly, and then it allows me to build it. Now, I can either go ahead and build the assembly, or if I don't have the items, I can click the order button, tell it I need 3 of these, and tell it to build, and let Lizzy go ahead and place the individual orders for me to build up the assembly. So basically a purchase order will get created, and when those parts come in, I'm going to end up coming back over here to Needs Built. The system's going to come in here, and at that point I will have the parts, and so I'm going to go ahead and tell it to build the assembly. So right now I only need one of these, so I'm going to tell it to go ahead and build it. And it says that it built one, and then also notice that it says that it is possible that a customer is waiting on this item and we should go to pull in stock to check. So all we're going to do there is we're going to come over here to process items, and we're going to process in stock items, and this item will be one of the items here that we need to go and pull. Now this customer's got multiple things here, so I would end up needing to get to the part that we're trying to get. So let's try this again. So here's our assembly to build, and we're going to tell it that we have built one of these, and we're just going to pull items. Now there's one thing to kind of keep in mind. When we did the initial order, when we were in special orders and we were looking at the special order list, remember that the system had this thing on a purchase order. And so in a normal situation, when you have stock and the system tries to order it and you want to cancel the order and pull from in stock, you have to come over here and click the little flag and tell it to pull from in stock instead of the order. Lizzy does all of that for you automatically when you're dealing with these assemblies, so you're not really having to do anything at all. When you built that assembly up, Lizzy knew that you were building it for this customer, so it goes ahead and cancels the order, takes it off the purchase order that you were looking at earlier, and then puts it on the in-stock pull form for you automatically. So there isn't any extra steps that you have to go through. So basically, again, just to kind of recap, you sell the item. Lizzy tells you that you need to build it. It puts it on the purchase order just as a holding place to hold on to it. You come over here to inventory. You go to assemblies and tell it, look at the needs built. It'll bring up a list of the assemblies that you need to build. You pick the one that you want to build. It takes you over to the assembly build screen where you build it up or place the order if you need parts. And then you will go to the in-stock pull form to actually deliver it to the order. The nice thing about this is it allows the people that are building up the assemblies to be separate from the people that are actually pulling parts to go put them on the shelf to send out to customers. So I can have, one person that's responsible for ordering parts, building up assemblies, and a whole different person that's shipping products out or pulling products off the shelf, and they both will work in harmony because the system's actually managing all of the processes in between.